Good morning. My name is Joan Claybrook, and I am chair of CRASH, Citizens for Reliable and Safe Highways. CRASH has come together about 10 years ago with Parents Against Tire Truckers, or PAT, to form the Truck Safety Coalition, which is committed to preventing truck crash deaths and injuries on our highways. I stand here today with families who have lost loved ones in truck crashes and with truck crash survivors. They have traveled from all over the country this weekend to our nation's capital to urge Congress and the administration to take action that will stop the unnecessary and unacceptable carnage on our highway that occurs day after day after day. Since CRASH and PAT were formed almost 20 years ago, over 95,000 people have died in large truck crashes, and thousands more have been seriously injured. These wonderful families have been going around Capitol Hill and talking to members of Congress and to staff, trying to urge them to support provisions that would limit the size and weight of trucks, that would support our efforts on tired truckers, and would support work in the Department of Transportation on some important rulemaking on large trucks. In 2011, which is the most recent year for which data is available, 3,757 people were killed and 88,000 people were injured in crashes involving large trucks. Yet there is a major disconnect between this whole cold, hard fact and actions in Congress and at the U.S. Department of Transportation. Right now, there is a bill, H.R. 612, that is being considered that would allow states the option to significantly increase their truck weights on our nation's highways and bridges to 97,000 pounds, to increase the double trailer length limits from 28 to 33 feet, and to gut the 1991 federal law restricting the spread of longer combination vehicles, that is, doubles and triples, throughout the United States. Right now, they're limited to certain states where they were before 1991. The state option, which is what this bill proposes, of course, is no option at all. It is a political trap used routinely by the corporate trucking interests. These mega corporate trucking and shipping companies will storm state legislators using campaign contributions to get some states to adopt the higher weight limits. Neighboring states will then be pressured to follow suit. Ultimately, special interests will come running to Congress, as they did back in 1982 under the same circumstances, but at that time to increase weights to 80,000 pounds, urging truck size and weight uniformity across the country after having pressed for individual states to take action. It will press Congress to override objections and opposition from the safety-minded states and to require every state to have the higher weight limits. This is a strategy that is well used and is out of the playbook of the trucking associations and shipper groups. The Michaud bill, which is this bill, must be stopped, and that's part of why we're here today. It's clear from the results of the nationwide public opinion poll being released today that the American public does not want heavier trucks. In the Lake Research Partners survey, which we have in our press kits, 68% of Americans said they oppose heavier trucks on our highways. Additionally, people understand that the extra money needed to pay for repairing the damage and destruction caused by the overweight trucks on our highways and also to the bridges will come from them, the taxpayers, and not from the trucking and shipping interests causing the damage. The public overwhelmingly, by a margin of 88%, does not want to pay the higher taxes for road and bridge damage caused by heavier trucks. Unfortunately, congressional leaders are tone deaf in too many instances when special corporate trucking interests come calling. They ignore the reality that a state option will produce more profits for trucking company interests, but more obituaries for innocent families and truck drivers. Every year, more than 4,000 people are slaughtered on our nation's highways while corporate trucking and shipping interests continue to push Congress for heavier trucks. Heavier trucks are deadly, dangerous, and destructive. Families are paying with their lives and with their wallets. Corporate profit and campaign money are driving the agenda, not public safety. When the battery in the new Dreamliner airplane caused concerns for safety, Congress weighed in and the federal government used significant resources to identify the problem and find a solution. And thankfully, there were no crashes or deaths associated with the Dreamliner. Unfortunately, we can't say the same thing about what is happening on our streets and highways, because every year, tens of thousands are killed or maimed because truck drivers are forced to drive unsafe hours under unsafe operating conditions. The federal response is either silence or submission to industry pressure. The federal government knows the problems, knows the causes of crashes, and knows the low-cost fixes are available and effective. It's time to put public safety in the driver's seat instead of corporate profits. Our elected officials must say no to bigger trucks, longer driving hours, and more taxpayer subsidies. This is not what the public wants or expects from their elected officials. Public safety has been run off the road to make way for corporate profits, and now is the time to change the disconnect between what the American public wants and deserves and what is happening in Congress and DOT. Demonstrating this type of leadership is Senator Lautenberg, who unfortunately couldn't be here today, and Congressman Jim McGovern, who is here today, and we're so grateful to him. We thank them for their steadfast leadership on truck safety and for sponsoring the Safe Highways and Infrastructure Preservation Act, which I'm going to ask Mr. McGovern to discuss for us this morning. Thanks so much.